that you're playing this game like you are playing against some real good players. And we have some extra information because we've been watching, and a few of these players are playing fairly badly, and you can take advantage of it. They're wimping, for instance, where they should be raising, or folding. We saw some players wimping under the gun with a pair of deuces, a pair of threes. They're not semi-bluffing on the flop. They're not doing what I know that you've seen in some of your games where they're playing tricky. They're playing very straightforward. They're giving you free cards. Now what that means is that you can play some more hands than you might normally play, because you can catch up to them by outplaying them from the flop on. And don't give them that much credit just because they call you on the flop. They're calling with some bad hands. They're calling with some bad hands before the flop. Play a little bit looser and get value from your hands.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Larissa, how you doing? The first couple of mistakes you made is limping with small pairs. Limping with small pairs in a six-handed game is a very bad thing to do. If it's a nine-handed game, you can limp, and if there's a lot of action, and then maybe get a lot of action, try and flop a set. But limping in a six-handed game is never correct. As far as calling a raises, or you calling raises with Jack-10 of clubs, that's one of everybody's biggest mistakes. They see Jack-Queen suited, King-Queen suited, Jack-10 suited. They call raises and they get themselves trapped. I like the way you played the hand after the flop. You stole the pot from the guy, which was really, really good. But a lot of times you just don't want to be calling with hands like that. Is on the hand when you had the two jacks, a big pot that you played. I like the raise before the flop. I like the fact that you bet the flop. When she called you on the flop, there was a pretty good chance that she had a king or a queen, which she did. Luckily, she misplayed the hand pretty bad. If the thing that you probably should have done is after she called you is to check the turn card. Then you would have got the free card, made the straight, and won the pot. But you won the pot anyhow, but if she played her hand correctly, by you betting the turn, if she raised it, it would have forced you to have to fold. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you put yourself in a position by betting the turn to lose the pot. Luckily, she misplayed the hand worse than you, and you won the pot. So that's how that hand went.
I just know how she played.
Oh, that's how it is. But anyhow, my advice to you is to not limp with small pairs, okay? Oh, I like the way you're aggressive. You raise coming in, which you do very well, which is good, and you lead very, very well. So by raising and leading is very good. But when they call you, you got to feel your way through. Like there's nothing wrong with just checking behind there, taking the free card. If you think, save yourself a bet by calling and give yourself a chance to win. But overall, I thought you did pretty good.
Thank you. You make me feel better.
Okay, Michael, you started off good, but you started playing more hands than you really should. The hands like 6-7 offsuit, 5-4. These are really not good hands, especially up front. And especially if you're gonna play these hands, you shouldn't play these hands to start with. But if you are, you should come in with a raise to give yourself an extra chance to win the pot. So these hands the cards themselves don't warrant this type of play. But if you are gonna play them, come in with a raise to give yourself that extra shot to win it. And specifically, when you played the 5-4, you did come in with a raise.
Right, that was just for a bluff that didn't work out at all. Right,
but if you're going to start a bluff, you got to start what you finish. You flopped a pair, and you had the best hand. You got to go ahead and bet there. You would have won the spot. You actually had the best hand. I think it was Larissa you're up against had an inside straight draw. And especially on the turn, you still had a pair, and then you picked up an inside straight draw. So you got to go ahead and bet these hands. If you start the bluff, go ahead and finish it. At least take one stab at it. And besides that, you did real good. So
do you think on that situation, bet it at least once? Would you bet it on the turn as well, or by the turn?
If you didn't bet I would have bet the flop and 4 straight because you turned the inside straight draw, and you might have made her lay down second pair. If she had an ace, she was going to call you down. So, but if she had second pair or something like that, you could have won it there with a bet on flop and 4 straight. So. Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Okay. Figuring out what to do with a bluff that doesn't work out is difficult. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, take at least one stab at it, yeah. Okay, good job.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Angela, you played okay, but there was one hand that I have to ask you about. Do you remember that King-10 hand? Yeah, you had a King-10. Larissa had 2 jacks, and the flop came King-Queen-9, and you checked and called. The next card was a small card, and you checked and called, and then the last card was a 10. It gave you kings and 10s, but there was also 3 spades on the board, and you check raised. What were you thinking? Why did you check raise?
I was putting her on ace king.
I see. So the reason that you check raise was because you thought you had her beaten. The mistake that you made there is that if she only had ace king, once you check raised, she would have almost certainly folded. The principle that you violated is that you shouldn't bet or raise with a fairly good hand unless you think you will be called by a worse hand. And your hand was okay, but the problem was that she would not have called that check raise unless she had you beaten. She did call with the straight. She was afraid that you might have a flush or even a higher straight. But if your hand is only okay, don't bet it unless you think that she's apt to call you with an even worse hand. There was a case where your hand was only okay and it wasn't worth a raise because she would not have called you unless she beat you. That's an important point about poker. You need to bet on the end. You need to have not only a good hand, but a hand that would be better than your opponent, even if they call you.
David, what should I have done with the king 10? Should I be calling till the river? Or... Actually, at one point, I thought on the flop I should have check raised her.
Most likely, it would have been better to check raise right on the flop to try to find out if you have the best hand. If she's a very aggressive player, it might be better to let her just keep on betting.
World Poker Exchange, worldpx.com.